This is the first quiz for the first unit of the year. And so it's a couple pages long, but it covers all of the learning targets that we covered in the 2 weeks of this unit. And so the front page, as you can see here, there is a situation where a student looks at um, that notes thicker strings on a guitar produce lower notes. And so based on this paragraph here, they need to identify the relationship being studied, the independent and dependent variables, and the things that need to be held constant. And so this kind of goes to the process that we did doing the Spaghetti Bridge Lab. And so they should be able to look at a list and pick out what the independent variable is, the one that I choose, the one the dependent variable is, and then they should be able to recognize that all of the other things should be held constant. So that's why she put 3 different answers here. On the second page, you can see that the top here has 2 different graphs, and I'm asking them to qualitatively describe the relationship between the variables. So I'm really looking for, as x increases, y does this. So in this case, it's a horizontal line, so there is no relationship. In this case, velocity is directly proportional to the square of time. So I'm looking for that students can identify the shape and then identify what the relationship is. I do let them use a card on their quiz that has all of this information, but they should be able to look at a graph, look at what shape it is, and identify the relationship. This question at the bottom has them analyzing the equation, the mathematical model for the graph. And so it gives them the graph, it gives them the slope, it gives them the intercept, and it gives them all of the important information on the graph. And so they're asked to write an equation for the graph. And so I did have a lot of students that just wrote y equals mx plus b, but I really want them to get the full 3 points. I want them to plug in what is y, what is x, and then plug in slope, 70 for slope, with units, which is y units over x units, plus b, which is 350 with y units. And so I found that this was probably the hardest part for them on the test. A lot of kids just gave me y equals mx plus b or didn't know what I was talking about. And so as you can see, she edited it later on when she did corrections so she could retake the test. But it should be earnings equals $70 per day times time plus $350. For part B and C, I'm asking them to interpret what the slope and the y-intercept mean. So I'm asking them to say in words, what does that mean? So in this case, for every 1 day, there are $70 earned. And the y-intercept, when time equals 0, earnings equals 350. I'm very, very picky about units in this first quiz because I want to make sure that they understand that units are really, really important. I also did see a lot of students flip the 70 and the 350. I'm not really sure why because it tells you slope 70, intercept 350, but I did have many students that flipped those. On the third page of the graph, or of the quiz, I give them another graph, and so I asked them what the slope value means, and again, I got a lot of students with the y-intercept in here instead of the slope value. And then I had a lot of students for the equation for the graph, they thought that this was a hyperbola. I think maybe because it was going down, it had a negative slope, but it should have been in the formula of y equals mx plus b. So as you can see, when she corrected it, it was volume equals negative 0.5 milliliters over hours times time plus 8 milliliters. Part C asks them to determine a prediction of what it would be later on without being able to identify that from the graph. And so I asked them to be able to do that and explain it how, whatever way they found it. The easiest way is to just plug it into the equation that they get, but I had a lot of students that just extended the graph to see where it would go, and then I had some students like she did, was she subtracted, she kept subtracting until she would have subtracted 15 hours. And so as you can see, she forgot about the intercept starting at 8, and so that would have made a difference. But I gave them points for the explanation, and I gave them points for the answer. Their last question was to come to the back. I have a couple computers in the back, and so I had a set of data given to them, and then they had to just graph that. And Plotly, I wanted to see how they were able to graph things, and so I was looking. There were 5 points. I was looking for label axes, axes labeled, title, units with the axes labels, a scatter plot, and a trend line. And so in this case, she did not use a trend line, and she used line fit instead of scatter plot. And so I gave her 2 points off there. But overall, this quiz is supposed to show them that what we're really looking for in the quizzes and tests that we take, and it's not all multiple choice. It's showing what you know through the activities and worksheets and problems that we've done in class, as well as what they do on the quiz.